Welcome to Demystifying Divinity with Joanna and Jenny.
Hi, this is Joanna. I channel messages from the Spirit in order to help people remember who they are and to embody their power.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I use intuitive astrology to help people remember their blueprints and soul contracts. And together, we're demystifying divinity, one conversation at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Demystifying Divinity with Joanna and Jenny, where we help you make sense out of this spiritual thing, whatever that means to you. Today is very exciting because we are going to do April energy updates. We saw the comments you guys had under the videos for March, and you really liked it, and you said, we want more of this. So we're going to do this again for April. We're going to talk about the energies in April, and Jenny is going to do her astrology part. I'm going to do my intuitive part. I'll share with you the decks that I'm using, which is kind of interesting because I never really use cards in my sessions privately. So I only do them on video so people can have a look and in these situations. So it's kind of nice for me to play with these cards, but I generally don't use any tools. I don't know why I needed to say that, but there it is. So with that said, hi, Jenny. How are you?
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good. So it's early March. Full disclosure, it's early March when we are filming this. And so, if stuff happened out there in the universes, then just know that these energy updates in April, we're sensing it. We maybe don't know exactly what happened, but we're going there. For me, myself, and I'm hardcore Aries woman. And so I knew March was going to be big for me. For us Aries people, I knew. So what's happening in my life in early March, you ask? I've got this thing here. So I've been like in bed, lying down, trying to get better. Chest thing. If we want to talk ascension symptoms, because why not? We love talking woo. All things in the chest has to do with grief, grieving, and I'm just getting rid of the gunk, if you will. And I know Joanna's guides would say, yes, please do get rid of the gunk.
Yeah, and there's more.
More gunk to be coming out.
There's always more.
It's coming. And I knew it. I wasn't expecting this, to be honest with you, because I don't get sick often, but
God.
Yeah.
I was just something told me to pull up a specific deck, which I wasn't intending on using. And this card flew out. And as you're talking, what came out was personal transformation.
Thank you.
This the season.
Roger that. And I totally get it.
I wonder if he's pointing at Mercury. And why am I getting Mercury? Is Mercury somehow important?
It will be going retrograde in mid-March. Now, again, we're filming this before Mercury even goes into retrograde. So,
okay.
Yes.
See, I know nothing about astrology. Jenny's an astrology guru. My guides know a whole bunch of things. So whenever I talk about astrology, I have no idea what they're saying.
That's why we work.
What would Mercury? What about Uranus? Is that the planet of change?
Yes, it is. Liberation is the goal, but Uranus seeks to liberate us, but shocks and surprises. It's very surprising to get sick the way that I've been sick.
And you're mentioning a surprise that maybe didn't feel good, but there's also surprises of the other side of the wonderful nature. So lots of gifts and surprises. And we talked about that for year 2025. Be prepared for lots of gifts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in fact, in my forecast for 2025 for each of the sign, the specific message for everybody was expect the best. Don't ignore what's happening, but expect the best. It's just like power of positive thinking. That doesn't mean denying, but power of positive thinking. That always goes a long way. So I feel like I wanted to say that right off the bat.
I love that. One of my favorite questions to ask myself is, how good can this get?
Love that. How good. And it can always get better, right? It can always get better. Doesn't mean it's bad right now. Some people may just be in a wonderful space. There's always more to experience. Infinitely more.
Yes. I am clearing space, so I might cough. Joanna might have to pause this video or mute me out or something. So FYI, My energy level is great, and I am so on board, and I'm so excited to talk about the energy.
Let's do it.
Roll. So let's do this thing. Okay, so first and foremost, before I get into the all signs, we're going to go all the way from Aries all the way through to Pisces. I will say we're all having an Aries hangover, so it hasn't happened yet. Again, we're at the very beginning of March. We're not even in Aries season yet, right? But once we get to April, we're all having an Aries hangover. Okay. Talk about, can we just give that a little minute before I start going into the all signs? That means like Aries just does things and just says things. And Joanna's seen evidence of, I just say things, right? And this has been a thing for me my whole life. Speaking truth, it's like, I feel like Archangel Michael, I've tried to blame him.
Good luck with that.
But he thinks it's funny. I just say things a lot of the time. And it's like, oh, maybe I should soften that blow a bit. Have you been feeling like you've been getting a lot of energy now that we're in April?
Mm-hmm.
And are you feeling that like, whoa, wasn't expecting that? Again, I wasn't expecting this. Maybe the other things for Joanna. So when you're listening to this, do honor that you're having an Aries hangover. Okay. We can't wait for Taurus season. Taurus begins on April 19. Taurus energy is way softer. Like way softer.
Yay for me. I'm a Taurus.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so like Joanna and I, Aries, I'm ruled by Mars. Joanna is Taurus, ruled by Venus. I think that's why we work well together. I think that's why the universe brought us together. We work well, this masculine, feminine dance that we have together. And that's actually because a lot of the feedback we got, isn't it, Joanna, on our...
Yes. Yeah. It's a beautiful compliment. Yeah. It's a beautiful compliment. One thing I want to ask you, being in March, talking about unexpected things, what I've noticed in March, well, we're still in March, I've noticed some old anger pop-ups, like, oh, I thought I dealt with this, but it wasn't as strong as it used to be. But there was obviously some layers of resentment. It's like, oh, okay, I haven't really fully dealt with it.
Yes.
And that's okay. But it was, even though it came up, A, it wasn't as strong as it used to be. And B, I wasn't holding on to it as much as I used to, because we hold on to things, right? So I thought, okay, well, there is some room for improvement always. But have you noticed like anger, heat, a lot of heat coming up?
Yeah.
Anger, frustration.
That's Mars. We're definitely known to be the planet of war and the people of war. For those of us that work on that our whole lives, I myself have never been violent. But my words come out real quick, and I have to watch that for sure. And my truth, that comes out. But the anger is Mars and Aries. That's what we do.
Okay.
We sure do that.
Yeah, I can feel that.
You're feeling like,
in the chest.
Chest, right?
Yeah, chest and throat.
And it's currently still coming out for me. Like it's still like I've been told like slow down. Us Aries people don't slow down. I'm turning 50 in March, and I work out with 20-year-olds. Like that's what we do. Us Aries people, like we just move, go, and we don't stop, right? So like I stop.
It's funny because you're an Aries, and the statement I'm going to say next generally applies to Taurus, but I want to say to you, bullheaded.
Yeah,
like bullheaded.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're bullheaded about something that's really, really good, go for it.
No one can stop me.
Yeah, go for it, right? So that the term which I think we need for what's going to happen in the rest.
This month of March, like again, we're talking about April, I know, but I'm just saying we're still in March. And so the month of March was getting all of us to get into our Aries rules the head, right? Aries rules self-awareness. So the Aries hangover that I've been talking about here is like you've probably been knocked on your butt with maybe an illness or something else.
Sinuses? Does it rule sinuses?
Sinuses.
Yeah, okay.
To work on yourself. The Aries is the I am. Aries is work on self-awareness. So all of March, we were all urged strongly to get back to our brilliance, work on ourselves so that we can be brilliant and beautiful in all of our ways. So timeline shifts big time in March. We've talked about this. Go back to the other We talked about the Kali Yuga. We talked about the eclipses. We gave you lots of warnings and we gave you lots of energy updates throughout March. But to say that it's a hangover in April would be extremely correct.
So what would you suggest for overall for April in terms of taking care of ourselves? Because I feel like obviously there's always a need for nurture, but I feel like collectively we're learning, first of all, what the hell is self-nurture? Does anybody know what self-nurture is? Well, really, it's self-love. But if you really want to ask what self-nurture is, it's to nurture yourself. And I feel like April is like, hey, don't forget to look after yourself.
Yes.
Does that coincide with the energy?
And what came to me immediately is to become fully integrated. So much coming in March, so much came in March that we need to integrate now. We need to integrate.
The other thing I'm getting is the words soft focus. So you know how we can focus on something? But sometimes when we are focusing on something too hard, we miss opportunities that are outside of what we're trying to focus. So what I'm getting is soften the focus. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Soften the focus.
Taurus is so good at that.
Is it?
Oh,
I wouldn't know.
You don't know, Joanna, you know. It's all about self-worth. Taurus teaches for about self-worth. And we are worthy of this. We are worthy of all the changes and the timeline shifts that happened in March. There were so many that happened for each and every single one of us. Again, I'm at the very beginning stages of clearing out the gunk in my own life, and I can't wait to see what March actually does bring. Taurus giving us the opportunity to, everything will slow down and get grounded. Taurus is an earth energy. It's going to ground us. We're going to get grounded into all the timeline shifts that happened very quickly and very even though we were ready for it, even though we're listening to podcasts like this, it's still like, oh, okay, this all happened. Okay, now I've got to ground it in and follow the Taurus guidance of softening the divine feminine. And
do you know what I'm getting on that? I'm getting the idea of we've just eaten a massively big meal. Now it's time for digestion. We have to digest it, right? And if you've eaten a big meal, I wouldn't suggest you go for a run because it's not going to be good for your digestion. You might actually just puke. So that's the analogy that's coming in. It's time for integration, digestion. There's another word I feel like wants to come, but yeah, digesting with what took place, which is integration. All right.
Love it.
Let's go for it.
Okay. Thanks for letting me bring all that up. And so Aries, you're still in it, okay? And Pisces, Aries and Pisces, the bookends. We're still in it. Bookends, holding it to the space. You can just think of it as bookends. And then everything in between, we're holding space. The Aries and the Pisces, we're holding the space, right? Okay, so I'll just go through all the Aries. Like, it's still a lot in Aries, let's be honest, right? Aries people, Aries sun, you're also listening for your rising sign and your moon if that applies to you. If you know a little bit about astrology and you know your big three, your sun, moon, rising, you can listen for all three. If you only know your sun sign, that's cool too. There are no rules here. You can listen to what resonates. That's the biggest of all, right? Okay, so we've got the Venus retrograde. It started on March 1 and it ends April 12. So mid-April, okay? That's when the Venus retrograde is ending. Go back and listen to that brilliant podcast that Joanna and I did about what Venus retrograde energy is all about. Venus enters Aries again on April 30. So it keeps moving in and out. End of April, Venus is coming in. Mercury retrograde, Joanna just brought that up. Started on March 15 and then it ends on April 7. Mercury retrograde is known for things like technology and all that travel and all that jazz, right? So it ends in Pisces and it's going to come back into Aries on April 16. That's Mercury we're still talking about. The sun is going to be conjunct Chiron right next to Chiron, our deepest wounds, on April 12th. So the sun and Chiron are going to be together on April 12th. That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Aries. We've been going through it. We've been having, for some of us, we're having a Chiron return. And for all of us, Aries people, we've all been looking at our self-worth issues, our self-identity issues, thanks to Chiron. Lots of thanks to him. Okay, the sun leaves Aries on April 19, and it's into Taurus. Okay. The moon is going to be in Aries on April 25 and 26. So whenever the moon is in your sign, it's like new moon energy. You want to use that time to reflect on your intentions, the goals you want to set. And the eclipses that we had in March, they activated your first and your sixth houses. Okay. First house is your identity. It's your avatar in this world. It's like how I go out, whether I'm speaking on a wonderful podcast with Joanna, or if I'm going out and just getting some eggs at the grocery store. How am I showing up in this world? That's your first house. And then your sixth house, that the eclipse is activated first and also the sixth for you. That's the healer house. That's the I serve humanity house. That's like I do the work. I do the work here so that I can do the work for you house. It is all things health, your health, mind, body, spirit. So the eclipses put you on timelines regarding first house and sixth house of healing. So Aries, yes, March was huge. So is April. We are the book ending. We're still doing the book ending, right? We'll be getting to Pisces in a minute, but I've been doing all the astrology chit chat. Maybe it's in one ear out the other for some of you, but I know Joanna's getting download for Aries. So please, by all means, Joanna, let us know.
Already on my paper. Okay, so the moment you started talking about Aries, the statement that came through was, stop pretending you are something you are not. Stop pretending you are something you are not. So that doesn't mean necessarily anything bad. It's actually not bad. But I kind of inquired, I said, okay, like what? Well, if you think of yourself as inadequate, for example, you are pretending to be something you are not, because you are not inadequate. You are not unworthy. You are not good enough. That's you pretending something you are not. On the flip side of things, if you're pretending to be someone you're not because you're afraid you're going to be judged and therefore you're not going to be accepted, then what you're doing is, you're judging yourself and you are not an acceptance of yourself. That's always a bad idea. So it's a reminder that we are always trying to be something, oftentimes something we're not because we're afraid of being rejected. I feel like the month of April is asking you to pay attention to how do I show up in the world, and am I showing up as my authentic self? And the first thing about authenticity is it can't be faked. It can't be faked. When someone is authentic, you can feel it. You can see it. If you're trying to fake authenticity, I don't think you can, because it's an energy. But in order for anyone to truly show up being authentic, one generally has to feel safe, because if one doesn't feel safe, they're going to try to hide. So there is an underlying challenge around safety. Most humans have a thing around unsafety. It's part of our survival mechanism. So there's a fear there, but it's really important for that fear to be there in order to protect our physical vehicle. But anything above that, and 95% or more of our fears are not real fears. They're just imagined. Right? So it's looking at am I showing up authentically in the world? Am I being authentic? Yes, keep doing what you're doing. If the answer is no, and you have to be really honest with yourself, ask the question, why? What's preventing me from showing up authentically? Are you afraid you're not going to be judged? Okay, recognize that you're afraid, but first ask yourself another question. How am I judging me? Because the fear that you have about others judging you is your projection of how you think people are going to judge you based on how you judge yourself. And judgment is a big deal, right? We judge ourselves all the time. Most of the time, we don't even know it. So are you showing up authentically? If not, ask yourself the question why. And why is it important for you to show up authentically? I mean, you can show up however you want, but here's the thing. When you show up authentically, you're basically saying, I am okay as I am. I don't have to try to be anything else. There is a certain sense of freedom with that cannot be purchased, cannot be taken away from you. It cannot be given to you. It has to come from within. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Plus, it's also very empowering. So that was
Chiron too. Like Chiron's been in our sign, just demanding us to work on our stuff.
Oh, by the way, I'm talking about Jenny because you're an Aries. I just realized that.
I saw my issues. Thanks, Joanna.
Like it's an issue. I think it's wonderful. Wonderful. The other thing I saw was an image of us building a house. And the question was posed, how do you build a house? And we think of house as something solid, something safe, something secure, a secure structure, right? So the question was, how do you build a house? One brick at a time, to make sure that we are putting the right pieces to form inner strong foundation. So what is a strong foundation? For example, a strong foundation is one that tells you, yes, you can. A foundation that's not strong is based on fear and scarcity. So if we have a weak foundation, anything we built on top of that foundation is not going to be strong. It's going to be weak because it has a weak foundation. So I feel like, they're saying March because we are in March, but also April is about identifying the aspects of our foundation, which are deeply rooted belief systems, mostly unconscious, and asking the question, does this belief still serve me? Does it still serve me? Because if you have it, it served you, but it may not serve you anymore. And if you identify a belief system that you see doesn't serve you, do your best to create a new belief. Don't get rid of the old belief. You can't get rid of anything that's part of you. Instead, create a new belief and focus on that belief instead, which means we all have to become conscious because most of that is done on an unconscious level, right? So it's paying attention to our structure. The message I had for a card that came up was the community. So right away, what I felt is that it's really important for you to be, but most importantly, feel like you are part of community. So I suspect some of you have had challenges with the sense of belonging in this lifetime. That's what I'm getting. So if this is you, it's important for you to feel like you are part of community, be a part of community, maybe even go as far as creating communities or just be in a community-like setting. There's a community. It's interesting because I talked about this yesterday to somebody. We're getting back to basics. Community, support, people helping each other, people relying on each other, people being kind to each other, supportive communities. It's important for you to be in that energy. And Jenny and I are actually doing a workshop, so we are creating a little community here locally. So that's right on point. So that's what I have for Aries. Does that make sense?
So on point. Oh, yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Always thank you, guys. I didn't say at the beginning, we recorded our first session of this on a different platform, and the overlap of the audio was just horrible, and we do apologize. We figured it out, and so we hope you are enjoying this better audio. Sorry about that, everyone. Taurus! Oh, happy birthday. We love Taurus. The sun enters your sign on April 19. So Uranus, speaking of which, Uranus is currently in your sign, and it has been since May 2018. And it's going to move into Gemini this year on July 7th. So since 2018. So all Taurus people, whether you're Taurus sun, Taurus rising, Taurus moon, stellium and Taurus, your lives have shockingly, surprisingly changed since May of 2018. So many people will tell me stories. Oh yeah, that's when I got in that car accident and then I had to edit it. Like so many people, it happened actually in May 2018. But I know it resonates for all the Taurus people out there. The new moon is going to be in your sign on April 27. So manifest. Now, I know that's so close to Joanna's actual birthday. So you have a magical birthday this year, Joanna, because the new moon is like right near your birthday. Manifest like the absolutely beautiful Taurus people that you are, okay? Now, the eclipses that happened in March activated your 12th and your 5th houses. The 12th house is the final house. That's all that letting go, letting goddess, forgiving, just forgiving, letting it go, right? And it also has all the things to do with addictions. So maybe the eclipses put you on a timeline and just like, even if it's as, little as sugar, like I'm finally quitting sugar, let alone, smoking, or whatever. All the addictions, like that timeline of those, of the eclipses, boom. No, look, I don't even want sugar anymore. Like that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And then the other one is the 5th house. Didn't I say that? 5th house for you? Did I say that I'm sorry, I'll go back.
I think you did.
5th house. Fifth house, the eclipse also affected your fifth house. That's the fun house. That's creative. Like, we're talking all things creative, whether you're creating an online course or whether you're creating a beautiful masterpiece or whether you're creating a new life or whether you're creation. Okay. It's fun. It is joyful. It's children. It is the funnest house. Okay. So pretty cool houses that activated for you in the eclipses of March, all that letting go, endings, and the fifth, creation, all things fun. Okay, so that's Taurus for you guys. Lots of stuff for Taurus too, in terms of the astrology. What are you feeling for the energy, Joanna?
So there's several things. A very specific message, which I don't think applies to me, but maybe it does on some level. The message is unhook yourself from rigid religious belief systems. I'll share a story with you. I come from a religious background, not overly, but I was born into Catholicism, and, you know, I had a communion and then affirmation or confirmation, all those things. But at a very young age, it just didn't make sense to me. So I don't practice being a Catholic religious person. I go my own way. But subconsciously, I didn't really identify with it. But there was one time a few years ago, I was at the gym, I was doing my thing, and all of a sudden I had this wave of awareness that came over me, almost like an enlightened moment where I had a bodily realization that religion and then spirituality are two different things. Here's what's interesting. I knew that logically and conceptually, this was felt in my body. And I remember thinking, holy shit, I didn't even know I had that belief. So you may not be into religion right now, but you are likely wired in some way that maybe still limits you or your expression. So if that's you, it's likely going to come up for you, some story, or you'll have a memory or something. So that's actually quite specific, right? Because I don't think too many people who listen to this are like strictly religious, that it just usually conflicts. Nothing wrong with religion. So that's the first message. The card that came up was promise of better future. And I actually am looking at the number 8, which to me represents August. And you were talking about new beginnings. Now, it did show up to me this way. And depending on what I feel, sometimes I take a meaning from it. Sometimes I don't. All that is saying to me is that there is a brand new future waiting for you, but it might not necessarily come in April. I feel like April is a build up to what's to come. It's probably somewhere likely towards mid to end of summer in northern hemisphere, right? Yeah. So I always say I don't predict future. That's not what I do. But when they give me that information, I share it with you. Also, what I'm getting here is an indication of your solar plexus glowing, which means healing. So if you've had any issues with digestion, that has always been a thing for me. It often coincides with holding your own power. So I suspect what this is also saying, what I feel it's also saying is that you're going to have at some point almost like a revelation that's going to help you come out of your own internal prison, where you finally are going to realize your power, not just know it, but actually make it real. It's like the palatable. There's something that's going to transpire where you're going to look at yourself and you're going to go, wow, I didn't know I could do this. Whether it's handling a situation, doing something you're afraid of, whatever it is, it's like a layer has been taken off of you and you can see, but you never realized you had the layer in the first place because it was just always a part of you. And I see that as a massive gift. It changes everything going forward. And positively, but it's a gift. Yeah. So there's a lot of empowerment going on there. I'm a Taurus. I'm like, yay. Because I'm all about empowerment. Like, that's really what my work is all about, to help people find their power, which means I have to do that first to know what the hell I'm talking about. Right. So that's what I have for Taurus. That's it.
It makes sense because the new moon is in your sign, and new moon, you're planting seeds into the ground, right? Like, it's in the dark ground, then you pat it down and then you just wait for it to harvest. You don't expect it to grow right away. You have to pat it into the dark soil, and then you've got to wait a little while.
You got to nurture it.
Nurture it. Yeah. So it does make sense for Taurus. And, with Uranus, I'll go back to that. Uranus has been in your sign, teaching you big lessons of liberation to liberate yourself. Rate yourself since May 2018. It's leaving. It's finally leaving your sign in July. So again, like it's like you said, it's the end of summerish, like it all makes sense.
And I think you did tell me for me that in September, like my life is supposed to change, blah, blah, and I don't expect it to be like, one day here, one day there. It's the gradual progression, but I can see it's already shifting very fast.
Yeah. And cool houses that the eclipses hit for Taurus was the 12th and the 5th. So pretty cool timelines for Taurus. I'm excited for you. All right. We ready for Geminis?
Let's do it.
Our lovely Geminis. Okay, so Gemini, Jupiter is currently in your sign, and it has been since May 25th, 2024, and it's going to leave your sign June 9th of this year. So I always say Jupiter is the great benefic, brings you all the gifts. It's Santa Claus on steroids, right? Jupiter's huge. You can fit 1,300 Earths into one Jupiter. It expands everything. So whenever Jupiter goes through any sign, it brings gifts. Sometimes you don't feel it, though, until it's out of your sign. That's mostly, but there might be Geminis out there listening going, no, everything's amazing right now. And it's all because of Jupiter. I totally get it. Right. But most people, it's not till Jupiter leaves your sign, but all good. We love Jupiter. Okay. The moon's going to be in your sign on April 1 and 2. And then again on April 29, giving you 2 activations in April to have that new moon energy, the sun and the moon together, the king and the queen together, plant the intentions, set the intentions into the dark soil so that you can, birth something new in the future. And then the eclipses that happened in March, they activated your 4th and your 11th houses. 4th house is your emotional body, your feelings, as well as your house home property. So maybe there was real estate stuff. Maybe there was also mother wound, sister wound stuff, right? And then the 11th, is that what I said? Sorry, I keep forgetting. My goodness. And the 11th house is your friendships, your communities, as we've been talking about, online, everything online. Jupiter's, I know you know it because you're so smart. Okay. And I do mean that, like you've got lots of brains, and then within the 11th. So it might have been a timeline shift regarding a community, regarding friends, all that stuff. What are you picking up on, Joanna?
The first, so I got to get my messages symbolically as well. I got a frog. I know right away what frog is in my language with my team. Frog means to cleanse. So it's a cleansing energy. So likely in April, you're going to go through some clearing. You actually might have some kind of a cough when you need to cough up something like Jenny did a few days ago. The other message I received was it would be good for you, if you resonate with this, to do some fairly simple but also effective body cleanse. Maybe go on a cleanse for a few days, maybe go on a fast for a day. You guys do your research. I'm not a doctor, but just cleansing, because you and everyone is, but you are in a preparation to receive some higher frequency. And I'm hearing the month of July, which is also interesting because in order to receive the higher frequency, you have to clear space and make space for that frequency to be able to integrate into your body. And so it doesn't give you this thing, right? Because if we have too much negativity and another energy comes in, it creates this dissonance. So it's about clearing, emotional clearing, physical clearing. If you feel like you have something to say to somebody, but you're like just freaking mad and you're afraid that if you say something, you're going to blow up, write them a letter, write them an email, and look at it 10 times before you send it, because when you put words out there, you can't take them back. Okay, so there's some fiery energy there. I also saw the image of the timer going back and forth. I still don't know exactly what it means, so maybe I'm not supposed to decipher it. To me, it has to do with time. When you see the timer, what do you call that thing? With the hourglass. What's the first thing that comes to you with that?
Days of our.
Okay. And what would that mean? What would that mean? Like, what meaning would you assign to it?
You didn't watch Days, like Bo and Hope and all them? Okay. Like the sands through the hourglass. So are the days of our lives. And then Bo and Hope and everybody. No?
I remember, but I don't know the gist of the show. Like, I know it's, yeah.
Owen
Yeah.
Hope is out there.
But it's funny because when you talk about it, I get this kind of a heavy feeling here.
Love
So I'm not going to interpret what that hourglass means. Maybe it's supposed to be a symbol for you that you are to decipher, but that's what I got. The other thing I distinctly saw is that you will be sharing something you've held back from sharing. You're now going to share, whatever that is, whether it is your gifts, whether it's your ideas, whether it's sharing your views or opinions. You are sharing something with somebody or many somebodies, and it is fruitful. Sometimes we share things and it's not fruitful. This is a fruitful type sharing, but it's like, thank you. You're sharing your gift. So your gift could be just kindness. You're kind to somebody and you're sharing kindness with somebody. Your gift could be that you have a very soothing voice and you say a few things to somebody, and just that energy from your voice makes the person go, oh, I don't know why, but I feel so good being around you. Boom. That could be it. So if you're someone who's used to holding yourself back, I have a feeling that you're being prepared to share something with the world. It might be spiritual gifts, whatever you want to call them. The card I got for you, which is from the deck called Gateway Activation. So I basically said, what's going to be activated for Geminis? You got the card of Holy Grail, which is very symbolic of the Ace of Cups. So it's new renewal. It's literally a renewal. So is April a month of renewal? I'm going to say April marks the beginning of a whole new level of existence for you. It's like you're stepping on a different timeline. Now, in order for you to step on a different timeline, you must have been preparing to do that, right? Because the only way to step into a new timeline is if we let go of the old programming. Otherwise, we stay on the same timeline. So you must have done some deep inner work. And I'm sure you're going to continue to do some deep inner work, shadow, whatever it is. But there's an indication here that something brand new is coming, especially emotionally, how you feel emotionally about yourself, right? Safety, security, all that wonderful stuff. So you guys have been doing some digging. I can tell you that right now. What it says is inner discovery, finding sacredness. You are what you seek. Ain't that the truth? Whatever it is that you're seeking, some version of you, that version of you exists within you. You're just not tapping into it. That's it. But I feel like you're about to start tapping into it more and more and more and more. This is time for celebration. I said to my guides, okay, give us good news. I want to hear good news. There's never bad news, but we can't ignore things that need to be looked at either, right? But this is like, yay. And again, a lot of yellow, a lot of solar plexus, sun energy, powerful, very powerful. I love that. So that's what I have for Geminis.
Well, once again, you're hitting the nail right there, because July 7th, Uranus enters Gemini. So, yeah. And so 2 days later, Jupiter leaves your sign. 2 days before, Uranus enters Gemini. Uranus is the higher mind. It's just Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So you're very smart. You're very cerebral. You're very chatty, right? But like once Uranus hits your sign, it is next level. You thought you could talk a mile a minute of really important, awesome things, Gemini. Wait till Uranus enters your sign, and that's July 7th. And you actually said that. If you just rewind a couple minutes, Joanna's team said, oh, I feel like it's hitting around July. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Yay. Good confirmation for me.
Yeah. So, Gemini, I'm excited for you. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whoa. I'm excited for Gemini. I got full body goosebumps right now. Awesome. Okay, this is so fun. Are you having fun?
Yes.
So fun. Cancer. Okay. Mars leaves your sign on April 18th. Okay. Yay. Because the passive aggression can go. So people that have this natally, this is an issue. Either you attract people that are passive aggressive, or you work your whole life to get around your passive aggression. So Mars is leaving Cancer. Mars does not like being a Cancer. Cancer does not enjoy hosting Mars in their home, because Cancer rules the moon and nurturing and all things apple pie and home fun. Okay. So yay. Mars is leaving your sign on April 18th. The moon's going to be in your sign, which is where it belongs. on April 3 to 5. This activates new moon energy for you, April 3 to 5. All you Cancers out there, that's when the sun and the moon come together. Use this time to manifest, set your intentions, write in your journal, plant the seeds for something in the future that is what you want, what you're feeling. The eclipses of March were hitting your 3rd and your 10th. Your 3rd and your 10th. 3rd house is all things communication, speaking, throat chakra activations. Okay? Talk it, say it, write it, communicate it online, say it. And it's all things friends and like your cousins and your siblings and your neighborhoods and your neighbors. So that activated that. Maybe you got on a new timeline. Maybe you moved to a new neighborhood. Like we got on new timelines with the eclipses of March is what I'm trying to say. And hit your 3rd. And then your 10th house. Your 10th house is your career. Did you get onto a totally new career? Did you get a new title? Did you glow up? And everybody saw it because what's happening in the 10th house, you're not hiding. You're not hiding anything. So maybe you had a massive glow up, Cancer, and maybe you used your throat chakra and you said your things, Cancer. I hope you did. What's Joanna sensing for the Cancers?
Well, the moment you started talking about Cancer, I heard let go of the shame. Shame. Most people hold it somewhere. It just depends to what degree, right? But if you're Cancer and shame has been a theme for you, example, you feel shame about yourself, you feel shame about your body, you were made to feel shame around sex. Any kind of shame is always going to hold you back. And you're about to step into a brand new world. The message you got when I'm using the Galactic Heritage cards, the message is solar consciousness. And this is literally representing, when I felt into it, it was you almost like you're entering another dimension where things are going to feel and be very different in a positive way. But if you keep on holding on to things like shame, you're going to rob yourself of all the experience you could possibly have because you will not allow yourself to be fully open to it. So shame robs you from experiencing, having the best experiences. Simple example, if you hold a lot of shame around your body, you're going to be very rigid with your body. You're going to try to make yourself feel invisible, hide. I know what body shame is. I think most women do, men too. But if you have a lot of body shame, you are not going to be free with your body. You're going to be, you're going to feel rigid. And that's not a great way to express, right? I'm not saying go out there and just be inappropriate, but everybody knows, what body shame is. If you have any shame around sex, I guarantee you're not going to allow yourself to fully express your sexuality in a healthy way. It's just not going to happen. I know that too, right? And sexuality is it's a primal energy, but it's fiercely powerful. What's the word, please? Creative force. Your sexuality is your creative force. That's the Kundalini. That's the divine feminine. Oh, by the way, right? So any shame around being a female, around being a woman, around being a girl, and I know there are still some countries that have that ingrained, that if you're a girl, you're a second-class citizen. Any form of shame of any kind, do yourself a favor and do the work required to let it go, because it will hold you back from what I see potentially is a massively, powerfully beautiful experience. So if you've been asking for something wonderful, take a look if you hold any shame, because that's going to hold you back. The message is also consistency is key. And it came right about when you were talking about doing whatever you were talking, and they said consistency is key. And I thought, okay, that's there it is. So especially like with manifesting, for example, if you consistently have positive thoughts and emotions connected to what you're trying to what you're trying to intend, you're likely going to get it, right? If you're consistently thinking negative thoughts about you, about yourself, or the thing you're trying to manifest, then you're not going to get it, right? So consistency is key. Notice where you are being consistent in places where maybe you shouldn't be so consistent. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah. On the other side, on the flip side, if you lack consistency in certain something, and you would know Okay, they're just giving me very 3D examples. If you're trying to lose some weight, okay, then you've got to stay consistent with making sure you eat the right food, you drink lots of water, you maybe watch your calories if you're into that sort of thing, you eliminate certain foods, you make sure that you exercise. If you only exercise once a week and the 6 days of the week you eat junk, and then after a month you say, well, the diet is not working. Oh, no, honey, no. The diet is working. You're just not consistent with it, right? So consistency is key. And sometimes that I've been there. I know how it works. Oh, this thing doesn't work. No, Joanna, it does work. Just be honest with yourself. You didn't put effort. Okay, right? So so if you lack consistency in a certain areas, well, maybe it's something you don't want, but if you do want something, just make sure that you're consistent. It's, if you consistently water your plant, then your plants are going to grow. If you water your plant once in a while and the rest of the time the poor plant is like suffocating, it's not going to be at its best. Just not going to happen. You have to give it right nutrition. So I think like nutrition is here. Also, if you want to be healthy, if you want to feel healthy, be consistent with what you put in your body. Not only what you put in your body in terms of toxicity, but what you put in your mind in terms of toxicity. What kind of toxic information do you put in your mind to poison yourself? If you're consistently watching stuff that scares you, then you are putting that energy, you are engaging in that energy, you're making that energy yours. And then there's no wonder you feel like shit. Does that make sense?
Once again.
And yeah, stepping into a brand new world. Again, I was getting somewhere between March and July. So you might actually be experiencing this already, or it's about to be experienced. Like I said before, and we've talked about this with Jenny, 2025 is a pivotal year. I'm going to keep saying it until 2026 because I can see it and I can feel it and I know it. Anything we put into place in terms of strong structure is going to help us forward, and it's going to have long-standing effects, long-standing effects. If we plant the right seeds now, we're going to experience the fruit of those seeds. If we plant the seeds we don't want, well, we're going to get done instead. Right. So consistency is key. All right. That's it for mine.
Once again, bang on. So I can't read my own writing. Taurus, I got it wrong. It's June, Jupiter enters Cancer. So yeah, Jupiter's about to enter Cancer in June. When Joanna says, you're about to enter something big here, and the consistency message you keep talking about, Jupiter expands everything. So you're like, I hate myself. Certainly, Jupiter will expand, I hate myself.
Okay.
If you say, I love myself, Jupiter says, certainly. Like, it's going to deliver it. It's going to expand it times a million when it's in your sign. So Gemini's just been going through that with Jupiter going through. So the date, again, is June. Jupiter's entering Cancer. So that's why Joanna's picking up on this energy, like, wow, it's about to happen for you. So like, let's get our ducks in a row. Let's get our poop in a group. Be careful of the stories you're telling. Be careful of what you're consuming, putting in your mouth, because Jupiter's about to expand it times a million.
Which is a manifestation galore, right? Yeah, everything is amplified.
It's beautiful. Jupiter brings gifts. It's just that Jupiter listens without a filter. Jupiter's like, you hate yourself?
Certainly, yeah, it hears you literally.
It really hears.
Energetically.
It is a spirit guide on steroids. So
I love that.
Okay, thank you for that. Leo, yay. Mars enters your sign on April 18. Yes, Mars loves being in Leo. You're going to get shit done, Leo. Leo's going to be on fire. Leo. Like, oh, yes. So if Leos have been feeling like, oh, I don't know, indecisive or lazy or whatever, Mars is going into Leo April 18, and you are going to love it. You're going to go off like a rocket ship, Leo. You know you can do it. Leos are all heart. Do it, Leo. You got it. Moon's going to be in your sign April 6th and 7th, so this activates that new moon energy. So get out your pen and paper, write down those intentions around April 6th and 7th. That's a time for you to really connect with that king and queen energy, plant those seeds, manifest. And then the eclipses of March, they hit your 2nd and your 9th. Your 2nd is all about your self-worth and your money And the self-worth and the money continuum, it's a reciprocal circle, right? Once you know your self-worth, money is a flow of energy, right? It's an energy exchange. So all that worthiness stuff for you. Did you get on a new timeline, Leo? Did you say, yeah, that's my timeline. I'm worthy of this timeline. And then the other house was the ninth, right? Ninth house is your spiritual beliefs. Are you spiritual or are you religious? We were just talking about what do you believe? It's also teaching, learning. It's also overseas travel. So did you get on a new timeline? Did you get it accepted into that master's program, or did you start talking your truth, or did you believe, it was the ninth and the second that you got on new timelines, Leah. I'm excited for you, especially with that Mars energy hitting your sign. I feel activated. So tell us, Joanna, what's the activation for you for Leos?
So the cards I'm using for you are, well, they're called Ganesha cards. I don't have the number. I don't have the actual name, but they're Ganesha cards. And I wrote some things and then I got the card and it was like a perfect marriage. So I felt, when I'm a Leo, I felt very full and satisfied. It was like, I'm satisfied. And I have some Leos. My son is actually a Leo. For him to feel satisfied so he doesn't have to berate himself all the time, that's a very welcome feeling for me to have, because it's like, we don't want our kids to suffer, right? So there's a layer or a brand new level of satisfaction that you have not seen yet. But I want to say this, it shouldn't be a surprise to you because you've been working at it. And because you've been working at it, expect it. So there's an expectancy. I almost want to say this. I would invite you to expect yourself feeling content, full, and satisfied with it. How it's going to come to you and what package and who's going to deliver it and what day and what hour, it's none of your business. You just expect it and the universe is going to deliver because that's what you're expecting. Okay? So be mindful of watching your expectations. If you expect someone to hurt you, then you are expecting someone to hurt you and you're going to come into the relationship, right? If you let go of that expectation and in turn expect something good, then you likely are going to receive that. You're not going to be looking for things to prove you that you're correct, that they're going to hear you, that they're going to hurt you. So watch your expectations. I also saw you going, that's it. I'm done fighting. I'm done. So you are saying no to some conflict, whether it's conflict with somebody else, most likely conflict with yourself. Now, one goes with the other. For you to let go of conflict will naturally yield you feeling more satisfied or more content. So all you have to do in order to feel content and satisfied, let go of the inner conflict. How simple is that, yet how hard is it? Right? And the message, the card came for you is sustenance. Again, satisfied, having what you need, not worrying about will you be provided for. Doesn't mean that you won't have responsibilities and you're not going to take your responsibilities seriously. But there is a lot less worry and a lot more freedom of expression, because when we are not worried, we naturally feel more safe. Or when we feel more safe, we are naturally less worried. On the other hand, when we are worried a lot, we are constantly in the fear mode and we're expecting the worst. And that produces anxiety. Some of you will notice that what I'm talking about by the way your sleep patterns that are changing. So some of your sleep patterns are changing. You might not have been sleeping very well, or you might start to notice a little bit disturbances in sleep. We process a lot of information through sleep. I haven't been able to sleep for the last 2 years. Finally, I'm starting to sleep again. And that can create havoc on your physical body. So just make sure that you can take care of your physical body and all of your needs, emotional, spiritual, and physical needs. Right? But the prominent feeling was just content and satisfied. Now, I'm having an example of someone who's, let's say, really, really struggling. And they're like, Joanna, are you telling me that in April, I'm going to feel completely different? All I'm saying is what they're showing me. Is it possible? Yes. Is it possible for you? Yes. Do you believe it? That's the question. That's the question. The darn belief, eh? Darn belief. So watch your thoughts. Watch what you pay attention to. Watch where you give your energy away. unnecessarily, including your own inner fight, and just decide one day to stop it. Just decide one day, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to fight with you anymore. I don't want to fight with myself anymore. And just literally don't do that anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, again, it does, because that is the high vibe of Mars, and Mars is entering Leo. And the high vibe of Mars is basically, and I'm ruled by Mars. I'm Scorpio rising, which is Mars, and then I'm an Aries sun, which is Mars. So when you're high vibe in Mars, it means you've lived many lifetimes of being a warrior and fighting in war, where you've done it. You've done the war. So in this life, if you're going to use the Mars energy wisely, you're going to know exactly that the war is over. And I never have to be violent in this life. I don't have to bring violence. What I can do is I can be very sharp, and I can intuitive. I know what to do, and I make a decision, right? And so you're saying with Mars entering Leo, you're saying, I know the fight is over. I don't need to do that fight anymore, whether it's an fight, whether it's fighting somebody, fighting the government. Pick whoever you want to fight.
Fighting the ghost from the past.
Ghosts. And fight's over. When you are using Mars energy in its highest form, you know, I don't need to do that fight.
You're talking and I'm saying that's called healing. Like that's healing. That's what healing is.
Spiritual warriors. Like I finally get what that means. I finally get what spiritual warrior means. It's like, oh, right. Like I don't need to fight everything. I don't need to save this world. I just need to heal me.
Yeah.
I get it.
Great energy, Leo.
Great.
Very excited for you.
I know. As soon as I saw Mars was entering your sign, I was like, yes, Leo, it's your time.
And they're also so very hardworking. Well, the ones that I know of.
They're all hard. It's all hard for Leo, right? Like it's just, they're so bright. And so it pisses a lot of people off. Leos piss a lot of people off because they're so bright. So just know it. You're bright. And we love you bright, Leo. Stay bright.
Yeah. And don't hide that brightness.
Oh, don't let anyone dim you. Oh my God, please don't. We need you.
Yeah. I mean, look, Joanna 3D here talking. You know, if you're in a meeting and you want to start talking about stuff that doesn't make sense, well, maybe don't do that. But you know what I mean? Like be appropriate, but never hide your light. Yeah.
Yay, Leo. Okay, we're on to Virgo now. The South Node's in your sign from January 10th of 2025 to July 20th of 2026. So the South Node being there is letting go, letting goddess of a lot of things, right?
Sorry, which sign is this? Which sign is this?
Virgo. Vibe in Virgo. The highest vibe of all the Virgos is the angel energy because you're pure. You're the purest humans. Right? So I hate to say it to the Virgos, but like if you eat an entire bag of Doritos chips or something, if you are smoking, like you can't do that, Virgos, right? Because you're so pure. You're so pure.
It's going to mess with you.
It's really, you're the healthy people. You're the health. You bring health and joy. So the South Node being in your sign, it's a lot of us are being encouraged to tidy up our health. Body, mind, spirit, right? And so you're probably really feeling that body, mind, spirit stuff and tidying up house too. It means tidying up your house as well. Like literally, like go through the closet. Okay. Throw the stuff out, get out. We're all being encouraged to do this. But Virgo, I know you're feeling it. I know you're feeling it. It's been in your sign. It's going to be in your sign all year. So think of it as the greatest, time to do the greatest cleansing. I'm sure Joanna's going to give you way more intuitive guidance here, but Virgos, you're really being asked and urged to go through the closet and do the shadow work and do all the things. The moon's in your sign April 8 and 10. So that's perfect time for you to do some manifesting because your sun and the moon are together. That's a perfect time to set intentions into that dark soil, pat it down, plant the seeds, all your intentions in there, and then just you have to patiently wait. But it's a beautiful time, April 8 to 10. And then the eclipses of March, they hit your first house and they hit your 8th house. First and eighth. Well, first house is your identity. Who am I anyways? I've been telling all these stories for so long. And then the eclipse is boom, timeline shift. You're on a new timeline. You are not that person you kept saying that you are, right? You're not that victim. You're not the villain. You're not who you think you were. If you were caught in a loop, the eclipses helped you course correct that. If you hated the way you looked or whatever, boom. So first house is quite an activating eclipse house for you. And then the 8th house is the shadow work house. It is the butterfly house. It is the phoenix rising from the ashes house. So yeah, it's transformation. So you had some very activating houses, Virgo, for extreme transformation, extreme timeline shifts, and all that cleaning out the closet stuff that I was talking about before. So I know, Joanna, I can just sense it. Joanna's got some messages for Virgo. Please do take it away.
Well, in actuality, as you're talking, I wrote a sentence before you said what you said. I was doing it with my hands. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I'm literally going to confirm what you were saying. Okay, first and foremost, Virgo, your message is this. Do less, not more. Do less. What do you mean, Joanna? Does that mean I don't have to take care of my responsibilities? No, I didn't say that. Do less, for example. Stop trying to be a certain someone. Just be you. That's doing less. Stop trying to be so overly helpful because you believe that if you're overly helpful, people are going to rely on you and therefore they're less likely to lead you. You're coming out of scarcity. Do less. Doesn't mean don't be helpful, but if you are being helpful for quote unquote the wrong reasons, then you're coming out of scarcity. So doing less means be helpful, but just make sure that you're helpful for the right reasons. Sometimes we are helpful out of obligation. Nothing wrong with obligations. We have obligations, but if you feel that you're doing something because you feel obligated, but you're afraid that if you say no, somebody is going to reject you, well, then you're constantly trying to be somebody you think the person wants you to be. That's not their story. That's your story. Okay. So the question for you is, who do you have to be in order for you to be accepted? Who do you have to be in order to be accepted? If acceptance is your thing, and for most people it is. Here's the question. Whoever you're trying to be accepted, accept the fact that you are that right now. Here's a mind fuck. Accept the fact that you are that right now. Well, Joanna, why do I feel it? That's a different question. You don't feel it because you are not embodying it yet. You're not in embodiment of it. And you won't accept it because you want to feel good. If you don't accept yourself, it doesn't feel good. So do you want to feel good? Start accepting yourself. You don't have to like what you accept. You can always change it. But you have to learn to accept yourself. So there's a huge thing around acceptance here. So do less, not more. Have more fun. Be more playful. I feel like I just wanted to be a child. Like I just want to be, not childish, but maybe even childish. I just want to be a child. I just want to play without the constrictions, without the, oh my God, what are people going to say? I just feel like I just want to be me. Just give yourself opportunity to do that, whatever that means. If you want to dance around your house naked, or if you want to go on slides with your kid or by yourself and just be a kid, go on the swing, just use the energy of playfulness, because I feel like your inner child really wants to come out. Really want. And by the way, your inner child is your freaking inner genius. It's your genius. It's your genius. So have more time for playfulness. I felt, and you were actually talking about summer, I think, but I saw time of harvest for you, but not in this moment. I saw it somewhere around August and summer. So there's some kind of harvesting that will be taking place for you in summer months. And I feel like you're in a preparation for it, or a preparation to it. And then, oh yeah, you were talking about how we're putting ducks in order, but then we have to give it time. It has to take in, and then we see the benefits down the road. So I feel that's exactly when the message came through. What did I write here? Summer. Okay. You are taking time and working on your foundation. And again, the question is, who am I? You were talking about asking questions. Who am I? So what does it mean to work on our foundation? Well, first, let's talk about what foundation is in this particular instance. When we talk about foundation, we talked about the basis of who you think you are in terms of your belief systems. Okay, that's your foundation. If you come from a space where you grew up in a home environment that was chaotic, then you've learned that life is chaos. That's your foundation. If you have learned that life is chaos and you believe that life is chaos, you're always going to be fearing chaos. because nobody wants to have chaos, right? Doesn't mean chaos is going to follow you the rest of your life. But if you believe life is chaos, if you embody chaos inside of you, you cannot experience anything else, right? So looking at your foundation, at your deeply held belief systems, and again, just like the other side, I forget which one it was, and asking the question, okay, who am I? Who do I choose to be? Who am I and who do I choose to be? If you want to be, quote unquote, a rich person, you cannot think as a poor person. If you want to be a happy person, you cannot be a happy person constantly thinking negative thoughts. Not going to happen. It's like swimming in cold water and complaining why it's not warm because you're in the wrong pool. I love the way to say it. Your messages are energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message. Again, to me, it speaks to your beginnings. Anunnaki light code. So you might have some connection with some intergalactic beings. You may or may not. You may connect with it. So if you do, that's just a confirmation for you. Also, Pleiadian activation. You got 2 cards this week or this month. Coming together, harmony in the heavens, resolution. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, this here, the resolution is connecting you to the throat and the mind. So there's a lot of clarity coming to you. But when I say clarity is coming to you, it's not, nothing is being done to you. You have been working at it. You have been doing the work. In order for you to experience a lot of clarity, you have to make space for that to be your experience. So you have been doing a lot of work. And by the way, you would not be listening to this type of information if you believe that things just happen to you and you're just going to wait until people tell you what's going to happen. Number one, if you do that, don't do that. It's a bad idea. Because what if they tell you and they're wrong and you believe them? Then what? Right? So you have to learn how to rely on yourself. But yeah, energetic shifts, new information, end of cycles. I also want to add the word end of karmic cycles. Okay. I also want to say this. It's a peculiar message. No more Mr. Nice Guy. That does not mean don't be nice, but sometimes we use niceness as a way of avoiding confrontation or dealing with a problem. Don't do that, okay? By not avoiding, I'm not saying don't be nice. No, always be a nice person, but don't be nice if you're using niceness in order to avoid some conflict, because it's going to bite you in the butt eventually. So that's what I have for Virgos. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love the karmic tie-in that you talked about, because South Node is very karmic. It's the collective karma that we're all being asked to let go, let Goddess, and we're all being karmically guided toward Pisces high vibe. And we're all being karmically connected to let go of shadow vibe Virgo. So Virgos are getting hit with karma. Yeah. Yeah. But it's a good thing, right? Because we're not going to repeat that karmic cycle, right? It's a lot. And I can sense that by seeing that it hit your 1st and your 8th house. These eclipses of March hit your 1st and your 8th house. That's all. Those are very karmic houses. So yeah, it's a lot going on for you, Virgo, and you got this.
I feel like the first half of 2025 is a time for preparation for something major, but I want to say the words magnificent to happen. And I've been feeling this for months. So when I say major changes, again, the words are expect the best. Doesn't mean there won't be challenges, but expect the best. Whenever we want to create change, there's always going to be some challenges, right? That's just the way it is. But it feels like the messages are consistent with the way they feel. This is putting all the ducks in a row, as you said, making sure that we have all the processes lined up. And then before we know it, we're going to be benefiting from harvest. We're going to be able to harvest whatever we planted. Sweetie, we're busy right now. Okay, that's my cat.
Honey.
Yeah. She
remember
talks a
when I
lot.
called her? She was so cute. I couldn't remember her name.
Phantom.
We got
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So no different for you guys. Yeah. Preparing for what's to come. Good things. Expect good things.
Got this. Okay, Libra, and Kitty Cat agrees. Kitty Cat agrees.
Apparently.
Libra. No planets in your sign. You get a little resty poo. Yay,
Really?
Libra. I'm a Libra moon and I love the rest.
I'm a rising. Libra rising.
You're a Libra rising. So we love it because the nodes in Libra Aries, and now they're just into Virgo Pisces. So Libra needs a rest. And I know it. Okay. We need a little rest. We're getting a full moon in your sign on April 12 or 13, depending where you live on the planet. So the new moon of April is in Libra. So I'm having a moon return. The new moon will be in your first house, Joanna. Anyone with Libra placements, if you have a Libra sun. Sorry, did I say new moon? I meant to say full moon. I'm sorry about that. That is me just not reading my own writing here. Full moon, April 12 or 13. So that's all the let go, let God ask, release, cut the cords, and look at the manifestations. So 6 months ago, when you planted the seeds in the new moon of Libra 6 months ago, now here they are. This is the first full moon since the eclipses. It's always activating. The first ones after the full moon and the new moons after the eclipses are always like, ooh, they feel eclipsy, right? So full moon in your sign, April 12 or 13. And then the eclipses hit your house, the 12th or the 7th houses, if you have Libra. So what came in, what left? You always ask yourself with an eclipse, what came in regarding 12th house stuff? What left regarding 12th house stuff? 12th house is addictions. It's let go, let God let go, let God ask. Friendships that ended. Did you release them with forgiveness? Or are you still mad and angry? Like the eclipse has got you onto a new timeline. So where's your heart and head regarding whatever ended? If it's an addiction that ended, then awesome. Celebrate that and move on. Thank you for those lessons from that addiction. And I'm now on a new timeline. And then also it hit your 7th. The eclipses hit your 7th house. So wow, that's your closest relationship. So, spouse, best friend, business partner, your closest people. Maybe there was a timeline shift. So not to say all you Libra folks got a divorce, but say you are married, you got on a new timeline with your spouse. So it's like totally new energy, right? It's like, oh, now we're on the right timeline, We've been working on our marriage. We put in the work and now we're on a new timeline. So again, 12th house, 7th house for the Libra folks. Full moon in your sign, April 12 or 13, wherever you are on the planet. What are you feeling for Libras, Joanna?
The first message I heard was put your armor down. Put your armor down and just watch and observe. See beyond the veil. So some of the messages, I don't really know exactly what they mean. They're supposed to hit a person in a specific way. But if I was to put my own spin on it, put your armor down, let me just feel into it. Some things are not worth fighting for. Some things are not worth fighting for. So if you're fighting with something or someone, you better make sure it's worth it to you. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and energy. And by the way, if you want to do that, hey, do it, but at least do it consciously. Choose. And I suspect many of you are going to go, maybe this is not worth it anymore. Whether it's a relationship, whether an inner fight, certainly, and we talked about that in the other sign. So when I hear put your armor down, it's basically, rather than fight, stay in your own truth and then express it. Rather than fighting, stay in your own truth and then express it. And then you'll notice there is no need to fight. Because if you express to someone your truth, what are they going to fight you on? Like, what's there to fight about? That's your truth. That's your truth. They can fight all they want. That's your truth. That's it. Takes two to fight. Unless you fight with yourself. But then you're fighting with an aspect of you. So that's the first one. Watch and observe. I feel like it's a month to literally just hang around and just watch and observe. Just kind of watch and observe and see what happens. And I feel like that's going to help you see, quote unquote, beyond the veil. Because there's always so much more that is happening than what we can see, whether it's physical eyes or our spiritual eyes or just our awareness or consciousness, right? But there are so many things that are happening without our awareness of it. It doesn't mean that they're not happening. We're just not aware, right? I also saw symbology-wise, they showed me a 9 and they flipped it to a 6. To me, it's always, well, actually, what's 9 and 6? What sign is that? Is that Cancer? Yeah. So okay, maybe there's a connection there. Maybe you have some houses in Cancer. But for me, what it symbolized was releasing, letting go, which ultimately brings naturally back to balance. So, for example, if you're fighting with somebody and you decide to just stop fighting, you're naturally going to fall more into balance. Okay, so brings about greater balance and greater peace. It's also the yin and yang, right? The message that I got from, actually, I'm using a different deck now. It's called Sacred Geometry Activations. So I was drawn to use this deck. And it's called Universal Love. But the reason why I love it, because it's 44 and they always show up for me. It's like, boom, I'm a Libra rising, 44. Okay, got the message. Thank you very much. They show up all the time. And let me read to you what it says. The frequency of universal love activates the connection we feel to each other, to our planet, and to the whole of existence itself. It's a very balancing energy for me. It feels very balancing. It feels very yin and yang, both, not one or the other, or too much of one, too much of the other. And obviously that's balance. But 44 is very representative of strong structures, creating strong structures. And again, in order for us to create things in our life that are going to be self-sustaining and are going to be strong, we need to have a strong foundation. So again, I feel first half of 2025, we're putting the right pieces, the right bricks to build our house so that we can then down the road enjoy the fruit of our labor. Okay? But it feels very peaceful. It feels very, I want to say the word organic. I don't know why. Maybe you want to look at some organic foods, maybe introducing some more organic, being in nature. You might feel like nature is calling you. It's calling me now. Definitely today it's calling me. I'm going to go for a run after. But I just keep hearing it in my mind. It's very symbolic of balancing the yin and yang. One of the best ways to balance your yin and yang is, first and foremost, work with your shadows in order to understand what is keeping you from being balanced. In other words, what is out of balance, right? And if you are predominantly identifying yourself with your shadow, then you will most definitely be feeling out of balance. Okay? So bringing in divine feminine as well is what I'm getting here. And divine feminine is about playfulness, being childlike. So maybe introducing again that energy. And I'm doing the coloring. I'm coloring the mandala. That's what I do to get into my creative genius, and my inner creative genius loves it. But it feels cool. It feels prosperous. It feels big, but not overwhelming. That's the feel I get from the energy for Libra. So I'll take that because that's my rising. How does that sound?
Yeah, well, Libra is the scales, and it's all balance.
Oh, of course. Duh. Yes, of course.
Yes,
of course.
Of course. And it's like when you're off balance, a Libra is off balance. Like you can tell when a Libra's off balance. And I have a Libra moon, and you're a Libra rising. So I both have strong Libra energy. And oh yeah, if my relationships are off, I'm off. Like it's, so we're getting a moment here that when you first started talking, Joanna, and when I first said no planets in our sign, in Libra's sign, like we're having a moment just to, yeah.
I love that.
We can calm down and we can we need it.
I just feel this.
Me too.
Like I can relax. Oh, I like that.
I like it. Okay. Thank you, Libra. Scorpio rising. So I definitely know this energy well. And then Joanna has a whole bunch of stuff in her Scorpio house, in the 8th house. So we're Scorpio women. We just are. And guess what? We're going to talk about it again because it is so spectacular. Lilith entered our sign Scorpio on March 27th, my actual birthday. Lilith reveals your shadows. Reminder, right at the eclipses. Okay, so it hasn't happened yet. We've explained this many times that we're recording this early March. It hasn't even happened yet. But Lilith is entering Scorpio right at the end of March. And right at the end of the March is when the eclipse is and when Neptune enters Aries. So it's a lot of activation at the end of March, and Lilith is joining the party. Of course she is. Can I just talk about Lilith a little bit, and then I'll talk more about Scorpio. Lilith doesn't apologize, and she does her thing. Now, Lilith is very powerful, and so for so many of us, we're not sure. Like, we're like, oh God, what do I do with Lilith energy? And so many times you screw up Lilith energy. And lots of times you end up using the energy in a sexual way because she's very passionate and very powerful. So oftentimes people will cheat on their husbands with this Lilith energy. Oftentimes you'll cheat on your boyfriend. You'll not go to grandpa's funeral because you're too busy with your friends. Like, it's like unapologetic and maybe making the wrong decision. On the other hand, when you're using high vibe and Lilith energy, you have Kundalini awakenings during sexual encounters. Okay. Yeah. You look at your shadow, you go through that shadow and you transmute that shadow into light. And then you go shine that light in the world. Lilith does it. And so Lilith is activating the Scorpio sign at the end of March when all the end of March madness is happening. So I know we talked about it in the first one, but we're talking about it again now because I'm absolutely loving it. And I'm ready for the messages from Lilith, again, into Scorpio end of March. So Lilith has just entered your sign. Okay? We're now in April, according to the interwebs, and now Lilith is in your sign, Scorpio. And I know you got this because no one goes deeper than a Scorpio. I know you're going to get this, okay? The moon is in your sign, Scorpio, April 13 and 15, giving you ample opportunity for planting seeds for manifestation times a million. So that's, again, April 13 and 15. And then the eclipses of March hit your 11th and your 6th. Very, very powerful houses. The 11th is greatest good for all. It's friends, groups, organizations. It's future. It's technology. It's the internet. It's community. So did you get onto a new timeline, right? What came in, what left? Friends, were they distractions for you? They left. Now you're going to find your people. 6th house is the healer. It's the healer house. It's all things health. It is shining that light to help humanity. Both these houses are Scorpio. Both those houses are helping humanity, shining that light brightly. Big activations for Scorpio, even though you don't have like all this planetary action, but you got Lilith and you've had these houses that are like really, really asking you to shine your light really bright because we need you, Scorpio. You're so deep. Scorpios are so deep. They can do, like, they're the first responders, right? Like they can go there. So I know you're going to nail this Lilith energy. I'm full body goosebumped and I'm handing it over to you, Joanna. I know you get this. I know you got this.
Well, I don't know what I've got, but I have to do some research here because they're talking to me about things that I do not understand, which is always fun for me. So they kept showing me waning moon. They said waning. I'm like, okay, let me just check what that is. Waning. Okay. And the way they showed it to me, the way it was lit up, I was able to see it go, oh yeah, it is a waning moon. Okay, you guys are right. Okay, cool. Because I had no idea. How the waning, is that how you call it? The waning moon is somehow important. Why is that important, Miss Astrology?
Yeah, it's
why is it
part of the moon cycle? So they're asking Scorpios to connect with the waning moon cycle. So you just have to Google it. When is the moon waning in April? That's all you got to do.
Yeah, because I feel like because there's a new moon, there has to be a new moon in April, right? There has to be a new moon. So it's shortly after. It's between half the quarter. Anyway, you guys can look it up. It's called waning moon, WANING. Connect. Okay, 1 second here. By connecting with the waning moon, I can't even say it, you are connecting with parts of yourself you haven't seen.
Okay. Scorpio.
That's deep. I wouldn't expect anything less for Scorpio, by the way. So
you can do
anyone who is like into witchcraft, shamanism, anything like that, I feel like that you'll understand that. Are there such thing as waning moons in our houses? They're talking to me about houses. I'm like, you guys don't know. I don't understand astrology. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, no, it's regarding the cycle of the moon every single month. Every single month. So just all you have to do is Google when is the moon waning in April.
Okay. And maybe even Google how to connect with a waning moon or if there is some kind of rituals that you can do. But it's a very powerful energy for you to work with, especially if you are wanting to increase your sensitivity in terms of your intuition. Boom, there it is. And I feel like Scorpios are intuitive anyway, because you're such a deep. So April apparently for Scorpios is all about your sense of self. And then at the end, I pulled a card, and actually the card came out was learning to nurture. So it's all about self-love and self-nurture. And I know some Scorpios, they definitely are very, very hard on themselves, and they tend to nurture other people over and above meeting their own needs. So there's a message here to always make sure that, yes, take care of other people. Yes, 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 yes. But at the end of the day, if your cup is not filled, if your cup is not full, then you're running on empty. Not only is that not optimal for you, it's also not optimal for all the people you're helping, because they're not getting the best of you. They're not getting the best of you. So it's actually mandatory for you to be at your best so that people can get the best of you. And I feel like for some people, certainly for many, in my experience, the whole self-nurture thing has been secondary or even way beyond that. It has to be your first priority. Everyone's, but for some reason, for Scorpio, it's very important. Some of you might be experiencing some challenges with your tummy, like bloating. That, to me, is often tied to sense of self, in particular when we are holding ourselves back. So if you grew up in a house where you felt that you were not loved, you might have gotten the idea that you are not lovable. If you believe that you are not lovable on some fundamental, deep, deep, deep unconscious layer, then you are going to hold yourself back with everything you do, especially how you show up in relationships, without a question. So your relationships will suffer because of it. Your relationship will suffer because of your own inner suffering. So you want to relieve that inner suffering. The reason why I'm saying this, why it's important to focus on your sense of self, is because you're about to step out into the world in a new way, which means likely no longer as afraid as you used to be, or you say to yourself, I'm afraid, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. Just do it and then see what happens and hope for the best. Of course, don't be stupid, don't be silly. But so there's some interesting, unique exchange of energies. I want to say mid-April in particular, where it's like, I'm hearing you're shifting houses. I don't even know what that means. Shifting houses. What does that even mean? Shifting houses.
Timeline shift.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And it's you are stepping into a new trajectory. So again, in order for you to step into a new trajectory, you must have been doing some inner work, because it just doesn't happen to you. Well, sometimes life will push you and then you have to adjust. But this feels more like it's relevant to the work you have been doing on yourself. So this is not new for you. You're Scorpio, you're a deep sign. You naturally, I feel, are configured and desires to go deep. So this is going to be no news to you. Now, the you showing up in a new way is you being seen. And what I saw was that you likely have challenges about being seen. There's something that you're afraid of, that if people see within you, they're not going to like you, they're going to reject you. Again, normal human stuff. I feel like that is not going to be holding you nearly as strongly as it used to. So where in the past, it may have held you back from doing and experiencing many things, you're becoming bolder and you're growing bold. I love that. I love that. So the message again is learning how to nurture, learning to nurture. The numbers are also symbolic for me. 8 is a very strong number. 1 is a new beginning. So strong new beginnings. But it comes to a number 9, 8 and 1 is 9, which is all about ending. So after ending, there has to be a new beginning, because that's just how it works. So when you end a cycle, naturally you begin a new cycle. And I believe collectively we are moving through massive cycles on the macro level. And also each individual person is moving through their own cycles on a micro level, right? For some people, these will be like big experiences. For some people, are not going to be as big, but we all are shifting in frequency. It's just going to show up differently for different people. So it's a very powerful month for you. I also hear it's an enjoyable month for you. So expect enjoyment in April. Expect enjoyment all the time, but in particular, in April, it feels amplified. Maybe even take a trip with a friend. Maybe you've wanted to taste this ice cream for a long time, and now you're going to say, I'm just going to fucking do it. I'm just going to go have that ice cream. Whatever it is, you do you, babe. And I just feel a lot more at ease with myself. And I just feel like almost a little bit like I've arrived at a new level. Like I've arrived. It's a very pleasant feeling. And I'm like, oh, I hope it stays, right? Because we're feeling really good. After we have been feeling not so good, there's a tendency to go, oh, is this going to stay? Expect it. But it's like This month is amplifying something really personal. There's a forgiveness taking place. You are forgiving somebody. Maybe you're forgiving yourself. Maybe you have been forgiving somebody. You've been working towards forgiveness. And now that's going to come as it's going to be manifested as inner peace. There's some forgiveness stuff here as well. Maybe you're being asked to maybe consider, doing some forgiveness work. And forgiveness takes time. It's not a one-time deal. Forgiveness takes time, and it's okay. It's a process. Be okay with the process that it takes time. That's what I have for Scorpios. Did that make sense?
Yes, us Scorpio people, again, I'm a rising, so I have the Scorpio signature. We have the witch wound, so we have the fear of exile. We've been burned at the stake. We've been, we've had the stones thrown at us at town center back in time. So we don't trust. We're afraid, right? To be ourselves, us Scorpio people. And it's like what you're saying is, oh my God, are we ready to let go of that witch wound? I think we are. And I'm feeling it. I've been doing a lot of dreaming around my fear of being exiled. And I think what you're nailing, I think that's what's happening for the Scorpio people.
I love that.
It's safe now, Scorpio. It's safe.
I love that.
Can you believe it? It's safe.
You're growing balls is what they said, right? Is that what they said?
We can say the things now and we can do the things and we don't have to be afraid of being killed.
Prosecution. Yes. Prosecution. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Love it.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Sagittarius, we love you. And you have no planets in your sign, so you get a little resty poo. Yay, Sagittarius. I know you love it and you need it. The moon enters your sign on March 15 to 17, activating that new moon energy for you. So it's a perfect time to plant the seeds for new intentions, for new growth. And then the eclipses of March, they hit your 10th house and your 5th house. Great houses for it to hit for you, Sagittarius. Your 10th house is the top of the chart. It's wherever you can't hide what happens in the 10th. So usually you get a raise or, you change your career or your title changes or you have like a massive glow up as a human, right? So you've gone on that timeline from these eclipses and you're saying, you know what? I'm going to shine. Sagittarius, I know you got this. You're so bright. And then the 5th house is the fun house. That's all things creative and joyful and fun. It's also children. So, it could be things like you're getting on the timeline, you got pregnant finally, like this sort of thing, or, your relationship with your children has changed. Good things, great houses for you to have timeline shifts. Whatever left, let it go. Whatever's coming in, fabulous for you, Sag. And it's a time for a little bit of a rest for you because no planets are there. So happy for you, Sag. What are you picking up on, Joanna?
I was just tuning in. Let me just see which messages I want to use. I want to use the Ganesha cards. So the vision I received for Sagittarius was you are being given either congratulations or accolades for something about academic on something that you just delivered. So you are delivering a presentation, you are delivering information, you are delivering messages, there's something that you are delivering. It's not your first time, but it is first time in the way you have delivered it or you are delivering it. So give me an example. I actually see you on a stage. Okay. So if you're a Sagittarius, does that mean you're going to be on a physical stage? Not necessarily, but stage to me represents being seen by many people. So you are likely going to be seen by many people and you are receiving accolades. The message to you is this: claim it. I just got chips. Claim it. It's almost like whatever you're delivering, you're not sure if you're good enough to do so. And the environment is going to show you otherwise. Your job is to claim it because that's your feedback. That's your feedback. The other message is expect the best and focus on positive. So whenever we go into a situation that we are unfamiliar with, whenever we go into a new territory, there's always a little bit of nervousness because it's something new. We haven't experienced it yet. We don't know. Of course, it makes a massive difference when we walk into something new with positive expectations versus when we walk into something with negative expectations, right? Because when we walk into something with a negative expectation, we are expecting the worst to happen, when in actuality, that's generally not the case. If you know the worst is going to happen, you're not going to do it. Give yourself some path. So obviously it makes sense to expect the best and have positive outcome, positive mindset. But when you start something new, or when you are doing something new and you're a little bit nervous, there's this nervousness about what's going to happen. Nothing bad is going to happen. Now, of course, have your head on your shoulders. If you're doing something stupid, bad things are going to happen to you. So obviously, that aside, nothing bad is going to happen. Whatever it is that you do, you're going to surprise yourself. And my team says, own it. Whatever it is, just own it. It might be a gift that you have been suppressing. It might be whatever it is that you are sharing or giving. You are going to see the feedback, and it's going to surprise you. Okay. And I actually just got a headache right now. So there is some, as I'm saying this, some of you are going up because you're thinking you have to be on stage. You don't have to be on stage, but you're going to be visible, but it's what you want. So just FYI, expect the best. Okay. Now let me see what messages want to come through the cards. Sorry. Stay away from politics. That makes sense. Okay. So let's stay away from. Maybe that's why I'm getting the headache. My God. Remember I talked about positive, focusing on positive? Look, positive outlook. Number 29, positive outlook. Need I say more? I'm just going to stop.
This Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the most positive of the planets. It's your month.
Gosh. Wow.
It's your month.
Wow. I'm just like wowed right now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sometimes it comes in like that, and it's like literally Sag. Just own it.
Yeah. It's like my heart just expanded, and it's just like I'm actually feeling like it's like, am I supposed to feel this way? Is it okay for me to feel this way? It's a weird thing. I remember thinking not that long ago, I was feeling so good and I was so grateful. And I remember a thought came to my mind, and the thought was, is it okay for me to feel this? Like, is it actually okay that I feel? And I thought to myself, why the hell am I having these thoughts? What do you mean, is it okay for me to feel good? And my guide said, that's the whole point. It's supposed to feel good. I'm like, oh, I forgot. Yes, okay. So not only is it okay for me to feel good, it's the whole point.
I forgot.
Sorry, I forgot. Again.
Getting that.
Darn it. Isn't it funny? My job is here to help people remember, because I have to keep remembering.
I'm learning myself.
Exactly. All right. That's what I have for Sag.
That's Saggy. Love it.
My guides are funny. I don't know if you've noticed, but they have a dry sense of humor, much like I do. So they match me, and I love that relationship.
Yeah, funny enough, you connect well. Okay, Capricorn, I've never been happier to say, but there's no planets in your sign, and I know it's been so hard for Capricorns. So you deserve this, Capricorn. You have worked so hard to have no planets in your sign and to have a rest. Because if anyone has the work ethic, if anyone's going to put in the work, if anyone's just going to keep going, even though it's so tough, it's the Capricorns. So I'm so happy for you, because again,
this is funny.
It's been a lot, Capricorn.
It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's funny.
It is. I know, Cap, you made it. You survived. So let's talk about it. Moon is going to be in your sign April 18 and 19. Perfect time for that moon and sun, new moon energy for you to plant some seeds, set some intentions. That's a great time frame for you. And then just looking back at the March eclipses, they hit your 9th and your 4th. This is all about your feelings. What do you believe? What do you believe, Capricorn? You've been through HE double hockey sticks, okay? Capricorn has been through it. So now these eclipses have put you, you're getting confirmation already. Now, Capricorn, you survived. You've been put on a new timeline, Capricorn. What do you believe now? What do you know? What do you know, Capricorn? And then what are your emotions about it? Because it hit your 9th and your 4th. Like, what is your feeling? What is your emotional body? Your changes, your feelings have changed. Joanna's dying to talk, and Capricorns, I'm so happy for you. Take it away, Joanna.
I am not making fun of Capricorns. It's humorous from my angle, but it may not be humorous for you if you're a Capricorn, because the words were lessons, and more lessons, and they said You want to stop learning the lesson? Then learn the goddamn lesson. And of course, it was said in a humorous way just to highlight the message. And the message is simple and clear, and it corresponds to what you said. Clearing old stories, releasing past lives, freedom, cutting cords, letting go of, hang on a second, letting go of karmic cycles. And even though you said there is no planets in their houses or in their charts, what I'm getting is there is a tremendous learning opportunity in April. And it's like in April, here's the thing. In April, you're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. That's it. If you get it, boom, time to move on. If you don't get it, then it's going to be lessons and lessons. And the reason why I'm smiling about this is because I've done this more than once. And the universe just gently says, okay, well, you haven't learned it. Okay, well, let's do it again from this angle. Let's try it from this angle. Let's try it. Do you want it any harder? Because how much harder do you want it in order to look at it? And eventually you go, okay, let me look at it. Lessons are not form of punishments. Lessons are galore of opportunities to know yourself. When you learn a lesson, quote unquote, what you're doing is you are expanding your awareness, your consciousness. It's a gift. Each lesson contains within it tremendous gift. You have to first see it as a gift. Sometimes these gifts come in lessons that are very hard. Sometimes it's very difficult to actually find what the lesson is. And sometimes it's near goddamn impossible. Sometimes we will never be able to see the lesson until we're out of our bodies and we go, oh, that's what it was about? But for the most part, if some pattern is repeating over and over again, there is something in it for you to get from in terms of information. Okay? Let me just see what they're showing me. Okay, it's going to trigger the ego because it would trigger my ego. But if you constantly feel like a victim and you are constantly in situations where you feel like a victim, and it's repeating over and over and over and over again, there is a lesson within it, okay? There could be many lessons. One of the biggest lessons is that although you may have been victimized at some point long time ago, that does not mean that you are still a victim right in this moment. But if you claim that as your truth, if you keep believing and identifying yourself as a victim, you will continue to get yourself to a situation where you will feel like you're being victimized. Because you're saying to the universe, hey, universe, I'm a victim. And the universe goes, oh, okay, what I'm hearing you is what your energy is telling us. We know that you're not a victim, but we can only go by what you believe. So we're going to just give you corresponding experience. So if you can share your grievances with other people, there's many things that you can do in order to come out of the victimhood consciousness. Again, this is not saying that we have not been victimized. Of course, people have gone through horrible situations. They were victims. But if you continue and perpetuate to see yourself as such, you are literally not giving yourself permission to be more. You are not giving yourself permission to be more. You are that goddamn powerful. So maybe the lesson is you don't see your power in this. Not saying what happened, you had power. No, again, but in this moment, you are likely not someone who's being, victimized right now, but you may feel like a victim. And again, this is not a judgment because I come from victimhood and I wrote thesis on it. It's like, been there, done that, and continue to do it sometimes because I still fall back. But I recognize the victimhood mentality, how it impacts me in a negative way. And I do it to myself. For the most part, I do it to myself. If I feel victimized, if someone has actually done me wrong, yeah, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, I'm sad, and I have to do some work so I don't hang on to it too long, and then I move on. Is it easy? No, not necessarily, but it can be done, yes. So if you don't want to keep learning the same lesson over and over again, whatever it may be for you, learn the lesson, and I feel like April is going to afford you, April and May is going to afford you, thank you, the opportunity to do that. Perhaps some of your lessons are around abundance and money. You talked about earlier, other sides. If you want to experience abundance, you have to vibe out the abundance frequency out into the world. to the universe. Being in your heart is abundant because your heart is abundant, full of love. Being in your head, not so much. So maybe one of your lessons is to experience more financial abundance. But in order for you to experience that, you have to let go of the old, whatever the lesson is. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Jenny? Does it?
So Capricorn wants the formula in the equation. Capricorn survived hell. Capricorn survived Pluto going through their sign. And so Capricorn survived it. So you survived it, Capricorn. I know you did. So if you're still telling the victim story of all that crap, that's what Joanna's talking about.
Yes.
She's talking about.
Yeah. And I can feel the pull. Yeah. And I want to just highlight the word that Jenny said. You have survived. You have survived. You're a warrior. You've done it. Yes. Now it's on the energetic level. You have to release it.
Yeah.
And that takes time. It does take time. It's not easy work. But again, I always say, life is not easy. Life is not easy. Life is not easy. It has easy moments. Life is generally hard, right? Now, does it help if we keep saying, oh my God, life is hard? No, but it helps so we go, okay, life is both hard and easy depending on a day. It's ebbs and flows. It's what we're here to experience. We're not denying that life is hard, but we're not so attached to it that that's the only thing we see. Because if that's the only thing we choose to see, then absolutely life is going to be hard. And yes, life is hard for some people. Absolutely. That is not minimizing that. But like Jenny said, you've survived. You've survived. You're better for it. You certainly are stronger for it. Now you can let it go. Maybe some forgiveness. Yeah, because I feel sadness. I feel letting go, that there's some sadness, letting go of a story that leaves you sad. What happens is when we let go of our story, we let go part of our identity. When we let go part of our identity, we are literally going through a process of grieving because a part of us is dying. So you might actually feel like you're going through a process of grieving and you're like, why the fuck do I feel this way? Well, you are letting go a part of you that you have identified with for so long. It has become part of you. And now you're releasing it, which means who or what are you without it? Who or what are you without it? I'll tell you who you are without it. Freaking more empowered. That's what you are. So when you let go of that story, you're actually more in your empowered state. And who doesn't want that? Joanna, why would I want to be in an empowered state? Well, let me look at it. First and foremost, what do you think about being empowered state means? Well, it means I feel good about myself. Okay, well, there's a reason why. This is why you want it. Because it makes you feel good. Doesn't mean challenges and problems go away, but when you're in your empowered state, you deal with everything that life throws at you in an empowered way. And that generally means how you go about doing things is very different. Very, very different. And you become a person that, yes, I can versus no, I can't. Yes, I will versus no, I won't. Yes, I choose to versus no, I don't. It feels good to be an empowered person. I've had those moments and I want them all the time. So amazing for you, Capricorns. Yeah, amazing. Does that make sense?
As always, yes. We did a card for Capricorn, or we did?
Oh, yes, that's the first one. Yeah. Akashic Records, clearing old stories, releasing past lives, freedom. Letting go of karmic cycles. You are ready to go and hang loose. You're ready to snip, let go of cords. Yeah. Sometimes when I do a healing with my client, well, mostly my guides do it, but when we're in the healing process, usually unbeknownst to me, my guides will cut cords between people. And it's never because I ask for it or the client asks for it, because on an energetic level, we have to be ready. But whenever that happens, and it doesn't happen too often, but when it happens, I already know that the person is done. The lesson is done. And generally what happens is when a cord is cut, which is on an energetic level, the energy that used to be feeding you and another person is no longer there. So it resets the dynamic between two people. And it's actually, you can see it. You can see in how the other person usually wants to talk to you more often. There's a shift in dynamic. So cutting cords is very powerful. All right.
Capricorn, I know who you are. You are the GOAT. So I know you got this.
You go high places.
I know it.
You're bold.
That was an
You certainly have courage, because I wouldn't want to be climbing on those steep hills and then pouncing around it like it was, nothing at all.
Yeah, that was really powerful for Capricorn. Aquarius.
Is that the last one?
No, one more. Aquarius and then Pisces. Pisces is our bookend, and it's big. We're ending big. But Aquarius, oh boy, Pluto is in the early degrees in your sign. You know this. So Pluto entered once and for all, finally stationed direct on November 19th, 2024. And it's going to be there until March the 8th, 2043. So if you are Aquarius sun, if you have Aquarius rising, if you have Aquarius moon, if you have Aquarius stellium, if you have Aquarius planets, I do. I've got an Aquarius Mars. Pluto's coming in. Pluto is transforming it all. So I know all the Aquarius people are feeling this. Like, get ready, complete butterfly energy. You're not going back to the caterpillar. Complete phoenix rising from the ashes. I know you got this, Aquarius. You might get stuck in your head because you're so brilliant, but I know you got this. You are brilliant, Aquarius. You are the future. Show us the way. Stay strong. If Capricorn survived it, I know you got this. Pluto, so we were talking about Pluto being in your sign. It's going to square Lilith on April 30th. So squaring Lilith, it's going to be, you might feel like you want to fight someone and you want to tell them the things, but maybe we could also embrace Lilith as like, I'm going to fight that shadow that has had their hold on me for far too long. And I'm going to transmute. I know you can do it, Aquarius, because you're so frigging genius. The moon enters your sign April 2021. It's that perfect new moon energy for you, Aquarius. To plant some seeds in the dark soil, let them grow, harvest later. So that's an exciting time for you, April 20. So it's right when Taurus enters, right in Taurus season. The eclipses of March hit your 8th and your 3rd houses. 8th house is that butterfly house I've just been talking about. So it's like transformation, reborn. It's hitting you, Aquarius. It hit your 8th and it hit your 3rd. Your 3rd house could have things to do with, your friends that feel like family, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your communication, your throat chakra activations, your writing communications. So you were put on a different timeline regarding the 8th and the 3rd. What left? What came in? Aquarius is very transformational energy for you. I know you're feeling it, and I can't wait to hear what Joanna and the team have to say for Aquarius.
I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying because I was in my. So you're going to tell me whether it makes sense or not. Okay, so I wrote half a page. I'm like, when did I write that? Okay, number 10, representative of not only ending, but completion of cycles. So I see 9 as endings, but to me, 9 don't necessarily mean it's completion. It's letting go. Sometimes we can let go of a relationship, but not be done with it yet. Okay. To me, 10 represents completion. Boom, done. Time to move on. And the completion had to do with the sense of stability. So I suspect that you are about to get ready to, okay, they're talking to me about, they're giving me the analogy of a little bird in its nest, and the little bird is getting to a time where it's about to take flight. And apparently some birds push the babies like, you're not ready, I'm going to make you ready. So you might feel like you're being pushed from your nest to take flight, but this is something that's very freeing for you. And I feel like it's a space where you are going to embody a version of yourself you didn't know you had. And it has to do everything has to do with belief systems, but it has to do with belief systems and, thank you, letting go of control. So you are someone who is likely learning how to let go of some of the control, not all control. Control is not bad or good, but just too much of anything is not great. So letting go of control and a sense of stability. I also saw you potentially at crossroads, but here what was interesting, I approached the crossroads and it was like, okay, I'm just going to keep on going. So even though you are going to be at crossroads, you know exactly where you're going. So typically when I see crossroads, I see a person who is confused. I didn't see that confusion with you. I saw you as being determined, knowing exactly where you're going and where you want to go, although it does represent some kind of crossroads. So there is choices or decisions needing to be made, but I feel like you're sure what the choice is or what the decision is for you. It just felt it didn't feel like any confusion. So that's a good thing. I also saw the idea of low-hanging fruit, and I was actually going to look up what that means. But what does it mean, low-hanging fruit? Ripe. Okay, so things are ripe. And I saw the image I had was an apple that's just hanging and you're grabbing the apple, which is knowledge. Low-hanging fruit. And it's a very satisfying feeling. So I'm just tuning in. I feel like the universe is going to give you those low-hanging fruits. Like it's I don't know how else to express it. This is how it's coming through me, and I don't have any more words, but low-hanging fruit is a good thing. That's what I want to say. Also, focus on what's important. Focus on what's important. And if there is any self-neglect stuff going on with you, and we always do that to some extent, but when there is an overwhelm of self-neglect where you neglect yourself to the point where your body basically has to get sick for you to keep your butt down and take care of yourself, you don't want to do that, right? So there's a message here about making sure that you always take good care of yourself. Not unlike, who was it, Sagittarius, one of the signs. Scorpio, I think. So focusing on what's important and self-nurture, really, really important. The message from the Ganesha cards is concentration. So the way it came up was in reverse, but I just see the messages the way they come through. So the message here says, again, focus on what's important. The flip side of the message is let go of anything that is not important. And we all have a lot of priorities. Oftentimes, a lot of our priorities are actually not our priorities at all. We're just so used to doing them. We do it out of habit, right? We do the same thing over and over again. We don't even realize half of the time, oh, wait a second, I'm doing this over and over again. What if I did something different? It's just because it's so unconsciously driven, right? So you are being asked to be more conscious of your choices and where you put your effort to, okay? If you are neglecting yourself, then what that means is that you are putting forth effort towards others far more than you are putting effort to yourself. If you can put half as much effort to you as you put to others, you're going to be golden. Just half. Just half. So whatever that means to you, and it obviously shows up in various different ways. But yeah, pay attention to what you're focusing on. Don't neglect. Thank you. Don't neglect your human needs like water, proper food, proper nutrition, relaxation, exercise, making sure that your physical vehicle is nice and strong because you have a long journey in front of you. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. But you have a long journey in front of you and you want to make sure that you're at your best. And you're here to share information with other people. Maybe for some of you, it's helping people learn how to take care of themselves, which basically is saying, helping people learn how to love themselves. Because to self-nurture means to love yourself, right? How do you love a baby? Aside from loving it, you give it nurture, give it exactly what it needs. That's how you show your love, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, Aquarius, they're brilliant, right? So you keep talking about stay focused. Like, what are you focusing on? The Aquarius people with a lot of Aquarius, like you can get monkey mind times a million, like, because your mind is racing, right? So it makes a lot of sense. As well as, I've known 2 Aquarius people that have gotten sick, like bad diagnosis sick, not taking care of themselves. Yeah. So everything you're saying, I've seen it with clients. Yeah. And Aquarius, we need you. You are brilliant. You are the future. So I love this energy that Joanna's saying is just stay focused on what is important.
And of course, all of that information can apply to any sign, but this is the message for you specifically for the end of March, which you won't be, well, actually, we might post it at the end of March and April. And of course, going forward, because self-nurture is not just about 6 weeks and then you move on to self-neglect. It has to be consistent. So that's what I have for Aquarius.
Okay. Last, but certainly not least, it's a Pisces pileup. That's right. It's a Pisces party. I will say Pisces is the final sign. It's the final house. It's the final end. So people are feeling this, and I want to say, hold on. For those of you who are hurting, get help if you need help. Pisces is the end, okay? It is the final. So some people are hurting. I feel that. There's so much energy, and whether you're a Pisces or not, there's so many planets in Pisces encouraging everyone to let it go. It is over. It is over, right? And some people can't let it go. So I will say that before I start talking about all of this Pisces pile-up energy. Venus is conjunct the North Node on April 2. Joanna, that's you. It's so exciting for you. It's so exciting for all of us. Venus, the planet of love and pleasure and abundance, is right with the North Node. The North Node guiding all of us right now. So, wow, what a day, April 2nd. Mercury stations direct on April 7th in Pisces at 26 degree Pisces. We're all thinking straight on April 7th. And Pisces, you're sure feeling that. Also, Venus is conjunct Saturn also on April 7th. So the same day that Mercury starts going direct, Venus is right with Saturn. What? Beautiful. Venus is pleasure and abundance. And Saturn says, certainly, Venus. Okay, I'm usually not into that, but let's station it in. Saturn says, let's make this tangible. Saturn says, let's manifest this with Venus. So what a powerful day on April 7th. Venus goes direct. So Venus has been retrograde, but it's going to go direct on April 12 at 24 degrees Pisces. And Venus loves being in Pisces. So April 12 onward, it's like, oh yeah, Venus loves being in Pisces. This is like really flowy energy. Pisces is water, right? Venus loves to flow with you. Saturn is conjunct the North Node on April 13. So again, it's that Saturn right with the North Node saying, okay, North Node, you've been encouraging the people to go really Pisces on your asses. Okay, well, let's just sizzle it in then. Let's give some tangible manifestations here. Saturn's on board. So, wow. Okay. Venus is conjunct North Node again. So Venus is with the North Node again on April 20th, right when it becomes Taurus season. So it's like, wow, Venus really wants to bring in the abundance. And the North Node says, sure, okay. Let's all flow. Let's get into the flow state. Like, are you noticing this? Flow state.
I see it on my chart.
Oh my gosh. Venus is conjunct Saturn again on April 24th. So it's like, again, Venus wants to bring the money. Venus wants to bring the pleasure and the beauty. And Saturn says, okay, I'll look at that again and we'll tangibly manifest it again because we've been encouraging everyone to get into this flow state. The moon is in Pisces on April 22 to 24. So it's giving you that new moon energy to really use all this stuff that I've been talking about to really plant those seeds, set those intentions. And then just to summarize the eclipses, they hit your 7th house and your 2nd house, Pisces. So all things relationships, timeline shifting regarding relationships. Like, okay, so I'm not saying you need a new best friend, but maybe things have really solidified with your best friend. Or I'm not saying you need to get a divorce, but maybe you needed a new start in your marriage, right? So all things relationships for you, Pisces, as well as the 2nd house. That's self-worth and it's money and it's that flow. That's that flow state. Like, oh my gosh, is this flow state energy or what? Get into your self-worth and then you'll notice that the money starts flowing. So big activations for Pisces, both in March and in April. The number one word is flow. Like get in that flow state, like the athlete knows how to get into that flow state. So wow, so many activations for Pisces. For all of us, for sure, for all of us, but for Pisces people, oh my gosh. Joanna, do tell.
I remember when I was doing the yearly forecast for 2025 and Pisces was themed as welcome to Pisces. And that's how it feels right now. So I received the messages a little bit in short code because it's some of my signs, so I don't want to get my head too much involved. But the first message was all good, all is forgiven. And right after, you were starting to talk about how sometimes we have to hold on to things, maybe time to let it go. So the message is all good, all is forgiven. Maybe there is some need for forgiveness. I know it's been coming up for me. It's like, oh God, I thought I already forgave it, but I guess I am still holding some resentment. So I recognize that it's okay. I'm going to forgive myself for holding this resentment, and I'm just going to own it. Okay, maybe there's still a little bit of work to do. That's okay. I also felt dizzy. And then you kept saying, oh my God, there is so much going on. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. That's why I feel dizzy. So make sure. And then I pulled the card, and the card says anchoring, grounding. I'm like, okay, you guys are on top. You know exactly what you're doing. So if it feels like you are, if it's so busy that you're like dizzy, or you're actually feeling some ascension symptoms and you're dizzy, then just make sure you hydrate well. You ground yourself as per the message, and I'll share that with you a little bit in a moment, and just take really good care of yourself. The other message was relaxation. So grounding, relaxation, flow, noticing a theme here. I think that's divine feminine speaking loud and clear. So I pulled some cards. You actually got two. The first one says Earth Star Activation, Anchoring, Grounded Action, Isis Energy. That automatically made me smile because I work with Egyptian deities. Goddess Isis is one of them. I love them dearly. I have so much trust in them. It's just mind-boggling. And I have been working on activating my Merkaba. So it's like I'm seeing this and I'm smiling from head to toe. It's like, okay, you guys are confirming. And it talks about anchoring, grounding, Isis energy. So you in particular may have a connection with Isis. You may not. It doesn't mean you have to, but you may have a connection with Isis or ancient Egypt. I have a very strong connection with ancient Egypt. I've had quite a few lifetimes, many of them as a high priestess, actually. So it kind of makes sense that this is kind of the kind of work that I do. And of course, the flow. There's a lot of flow in here. You actually might have a connection with avian beings. I've heard of avian beings before. I don't know. I think avian are bird beings. Okay. So Toph would be considered an avian being. So whatever I'm saying to you, either it makes sense or it doesn't. If it makes sense, great. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. But there is some frequency of ancient Egypt and avian beings. So maybe just look up what avian beings mean. Because I feel like whether you're aware of it or not, you have a connection with these beings, with this consciousness. It's a consciousness, avian consciousness. That's interesting. The second message is Seraphim's Gateway, voice activation, angelic attunement, divine support. So if you look at these two cards, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll notice there's a flow. There's a flow. One is brighter, one is a little bit lighter. There's a flow. It's a different frequency, and to me, it symbolizes connection to different type of consciousnesses that have a very marked difference in them. They're both positive, but they both feel very different. So what this symbolizes to me is that you have connection to a whole bunch of different beings out there, consciousnesses, and they will present themselves in different forms to you. So if you're someone who like, Joanna, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Well, you never know what's going to happen because you are becoming Pisces 2.0, but you may just not be conscious of it. Okay. And I suspect you'd be okay if you were working with other consciousnesses. Some of you may not be, but I suspect most of you would be. So this is basically just denoting that yes, you have this connection already. It is an ancient connection to boot, which means it's very strong within your own DNA structure. And as you are transforming into Pisces 2.0 this year, this is going to start coming online more and more and more. And what's interesting is I have a manifestation thing that I did, and on it, I wrote specifically higher awareness of my Egyptian team. Boom, there she is. And I was actually just looking at it before we went on the podcast. So does that make sense what I'm saying? Because I'm just spitting things out.
Yeah, it's so great because the Pisces is the two fish, right?
That's right. Yeah.
and you're getting the two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, with Pisces energy, like it's very otherworldly.
And Isis is magic and healing.
I mean, Pisces energy can be very confusing. And so the dizzy thing, like, yes, that is very Pisces. So if you can just try and stay grounded, because it is a Pisces pile-up party. And I'm really excited for you, Pisces, because like Joanna says, it's a 2.0 version. But like, yes, if we can just try and keep our feet on the ground.
You know what I'm getting? And they're giving me an example to illustrate that. When we are beginning to vibe on a higher frequency, before our bodies get used to the higher frequency and we're not fully embodying it, we will often feel very ungrounded. And the example of that is I facilitate a shamanic breathwork sessions. So oftentimes throughout the process, a person will feel dizzy because there's so much oxygen flowing through your body that it makes you feel dizzy. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means there is an extra oxygen flowing in your body and your cells are responding to it in a different way. So you need a lot of grounding. The 2.0 to me signifies almost like a higher frequency, a higher dimension. And the dizziness may be the result of tapping into that frequency, but your body not being used to holding that within. So that can make you feel dizzy as well. Or it can mean that you have so many things going on, you actually need to ground. Otherwise, you're going to be running around like a chicken with no head, and we do not want that. Was that useful, helpful, or did it make sense?
It was amazing. What a way to end it. What a great reading for everyone. I can't wait to hear the feedback. Resonated on so many levels. I love it how Joanna's spirit team and the astrology just always match.
It's always surprising to me, and it never ceases to amaze me, ever. It'll never get old. It'll never get old.
Bring the time of my life on this podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Wow, that's the longest podcast yet. But this is what happens with these ones because we're going through all 12 signs, and we're actually giving quite substantial information there. So
we did.
So do you want to end it, Miss Jenny?
Well, if you love them, we are so happy to provide these energy updates. Look at what Joanna's holding up. This is our Mandela Manifesting Journal. We are going to be doing a in-person workshop, helping people with this divine feminine flow. We're going to be coloring. We're going to be journaling. We're going to be talking about the divine. It is time to get into that flow state. Pisces is encouraging all of us to do this. You always look to the North Node. If everything I've said for the last how many hours I've been chatting, if you forget everything I've said, no problem. Just go toward the North Node. And the North Node's in Pisces, and the North Node wants us to get into this flow state of coloring, divine feminine, opening it up, slowing things down, and getting nurturing. Yeah. And we've all been put on these timelines from whatever these eclipses in March brought in or took out. So surrender to that.
All right. I think that's what we've got for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Let us all know how you received these messages. And if you have any suggestions for us, we're going to be introducing other guests and get their feedback and their stories to hopefully also inspire you. So we look forward to seeing you. Our episodes are released every Tuesday at 9 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, if you're curious. And some of these are being also released on my YouTube channel, Joanna the Healer, and Jenny's YouTube channel, which is Jenny's next chapter. So you can listen to both. So you can see both of those. If you are watching it, listening on Spotify, you can watch it on YouTube. With that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your energy, and we look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And please share this fab convo with someone who you love.